Hey everyone, welcome to this tutorial where we are going to be making hitbox triggers. That is a thing where when you walk into an area, you trigger something to happen. So for this tutorial, what we're going to trigger is we're going to get a large cylinder to kind of crash on us. So I'm going to drag out a cylinder and I'm just going to use the default cylinder. I know I said don't, but we've ran into a few issues on our school computers. So I'm going to just use the default one and I hopefully won't mess this one up to a point where I can't use it. I'm going to raise this up into the air so that I could walk underneath it. And then in the area underneath it, I'm going to add a trigger. So go over to your content folder. Oops, let me delete that word. And right click, and we're going to add a new folder called triggers. And then in the triggers folder, we're going to right click and we're going to create a new blueprint class. And we'll do a search for the word trigger. Okay. And there's 3 different triggers we can do: trigger box, trigger capsule, trigger sphere. And they're all very similar, but for this one, we're just going to do a trigger box. So select that and give it a name. I'll just call mine trigger cylinder or something like that. Okay, so trigger cylinder is now there, and I'm going to drag it over to underneath the box itself, and I'll just scale it bigger with the R key. Okay, so when I walk in that zone, I want it to essentially trigger the cylinder to kind of smash my character. Now I'm not going to program this to kill me, but we've done it with a few objects already, so you can essentially use that to program this to cause death. Instead, it's just going to like smash and not do anything to me. Okay, so both of those are set up. Let's create an animation for this. So I'm going to go to cinematics and you'd add matinee legacy. But because I've already kind of opened one already for this, I'm just going to use the one I created called Aw. And I'm just going to open that. But you can create a new one. It's going to be the exact same thing. Okay. And I'm going to delete my movement track on this. And I'm going to delete my group. Okay. And let's go ahead and create a new empty group. I'm just going to call it triggers with a Z. And then I'm going to select my cylinder, right click, actors, add selected actors, and then I'm going to right click and add a new movement track. Okay, so that's where it's at right now at its current position. I'm going to dial back my timeline because I don't think I'll need a lot of time. I want this to like be a trap almost, so it falls really quickly. So I'm gonna set it to 1 second. So it falls pretty fast. And it starts at the top, and then I'm going to move my time thing to the very end. And then at the end of it, it's supposed to have crashed to the ground. So I'm going to move this to the bottom as though it had crashed to the ground. And if I press enter, it actually saves that time sequence. So that's another way to save it instead of just pressing the add key button where it slams down to the ground. Okay, and I'm going to save this. If that pops up, you can press yes. And now that should be saved. Let's now go over to our blueprints, our level blueprint, because we're going to program this into our level. And I'm going to select open level blueprint and oops, zoom out. Oh, this ain't good. Oh, I thought I lost my previous code, which would have been problematic, but no, it's right over there. So I'm going to move underneath it, and we're going to create some new code. So make sure your object is still selected. Right click and go on actor, begin, overlap. Okay, on actor begin overlap. So that's when you walk into it. And we're also going to have on actor end overlap. Okay. So these are both for the same object. We didn't name the object anything as of right now, so it's just called cylinder. We could have potentially renamed that something else. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to check if what's colliding with the cylinder is our character. So drag a node off of our character, go equal, and then go equal object. Okay, so that's an equal for our character. And if we'll give this a shot. I haven't really tried this a whole lot. If I have my character selected and I right click here, there should pop up like a reference, create a reference to third person character. So I can do that to create a reference to third person character. Let's see if it works also for the animation. So whenever you create an object and you program an animation to it, it usually appears somewhere. Now for some reason mine are popping in up in weird areas, but I believe this here is the animation for my cylinder. So I'm just going to move it up closer to my cylinder so I don't lose track of what that is. And with that selected, if I right click here, there should be create a reference to awe. Okay, so I'll just save that for later and continue with this. Okay, so if the cylinder's collision is equal with my character, meaning my character is collided with that, then we're going to run a true condition. So let's get a branch. I'm just going to move this further up here. I don't need it for now. Okay, connect that branch, and we're just going to print a string. And this is just to show you that it works. So I'm going to go to print and then string, and a string is just a series of words. So it can say something like crush. Okay, so I'll just type the word crush in there. Okay, and now let's do the other one. And I'm just going to click on each of these and hold down shift. And then I'm going to go Control W, and it'll create a copy of all of those. So now I can put these right over here and connect that back to that and this to this. Okay, now this is a begin overlap, so this is like when I enter it, and this is an end overlap, which means once I've left the trigger box area, it could say like release or whatever. So that's just to show you that it works. Let me compile this real quick and show you what happens. So I'm going to go play, and next to me is the cylinder. If I walk, it's not working, which is a problem. So let's press escape. I'm pretty sure I know what's wrong with it. And I'm going to, before I enter the blueprints again, select the trigger cylinder over here. So let me go ahead, have that selected, go to blueprints, open level blueprint. What I think happened is I said begin overlap with the cylinder. That's not actually possible. It's got to be the trigger box, which I even named over here, the trigger cylinder. So cylinder and trigger cylinder are different things. So let's try that again. On begin on actor begin overlap, select that. Yeah, so this is the trigger cylinder and not the actual cylinder. So I'm going to Control W that. Whoops. Control W. Oh, so I can't Control W that apparently, but it's fine. Delete that and do on actor end overlap, and that should be for the trigger cylinder as well. Okay, so I just need to delete these two. You know, the other one was saying once you've like entered the cylinder, but the cylinder's a solid object, so you can't enter that. Okay, so yeah, I leave these mistakes here so that you can kind of see like that I get stuff wrong as well, that this is still a learning process for me. So let's compile, save that, and now play our game. And then when you walk there, you might notice on the top left of the screen it says crush, and then it says release. So that won't actually be in the game. That's just a note to tell you that it's working. So that's the power of those print string commands, and you could use those anywhere you want. But we also want it to crush us, so let's now program that. Okay, so I'm back over in our program, or in our blueprint level editor, and I still have my awe, which is awesome, or my my trigger over here that we generated earlier. So now after it prints out that string, and if you don't want it to print out the string, just delete that. We're going to have it play that animation. Okay, so there's like 5 different plays in here, and you just have to make sure you have the right one. So I'm going to turn off context sensitive. I'm going to go to play, and then the one we want to be using is the one for the cinematics. So let's just go over to the letter C. Oh, this is going to be a while. Okay, so cinematics. Yeah, and this one here that says play. So I'm going to select that, and if you have the correct one selected, it's going to say target is matinee actor. Okay, if you have the wrong one selected, it will tell you a different target. And I'm going to connect this to my target because that's what I want it to play. I want it to play the animation that we made earlier, and I don't want it to play immediately and then kind of stop. I want to throw a little bit of delay there so it gives me time to like run over it, because if this is an actual obstacle, you want time to actually get around the obstacle. So let's throw in a delay of, let's just do like 2.5 seconds. So I'll say delay of 2.5 seconds, and then after that we want it to reverse. So I'm going to drag off here. I'm going to type in reverse, and then it's kind of the same thing. We want the reverse of the cinematic. So find cinematic folder, go play reverse. Actually, that's the wrong one, and I could tell it's the wrong one because it says target is movie scene sequence player. Okay, so let me delete that one and type in reverse again. Okay, and let's use, there's not a lot of them, up here. So this is cinematic reverse, and this one is game cinematic play reverse. So there's a lot of similarities in a lot of these, but we want cinematic reverse, and then it should also say target is matinee actor. Okay, and I'll just relink this to this as well, so it knows it's the target. Okay, so that should all be set now. I'm going to compile this, save it, and close out of this, and now play the game. Okay, so I'm over there, and when I walk over here, boom, it like crushes my character. But it's not triggered right now to hurt me. It just like closes, waits a few seconds, and then goes back up. And until I walk back down there, it won't trigger again. But when I do, boom, it closes. Okay, so hopefully you found that tutorial useful. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'm signing out. Peace.